This short tutorial will help you understand how to take full advantage of both budget templates. At the top of the page are 4 linked resources. The upper left-hand corner is linked to our Money Marriage U online courses. These courses are where couples go to learn to manage money together. Now, there's no financial commitment for taking the course. You only pay what you believe it's worth after completing it. The next 3 cells are linked to helpful articles to read in advance of budgeting with your spouse, or simply referencing during the budgeting process. Also notice that each category is linked to a helpful article. Sheet 1 is a budget template dedicated to couples who fully share their finances. And as you can see at the bottom, you can click on a second sheet, as I did there. Again, here's the first sheet at the bottom tab. Here's the second sheet. And sheet 2 is a budget template dedicated to couples who blend their finances. I temporarily highlighted in yellow the line items that are specific to partners managing money separately. Budgeting with a spouse can be difficult, which is why we've linked these helpful articles to our budgeting templates. These articles are designed for you and or your spouse to read in advance. And they recognize that money can be difficult to discuss, particularly with your spouse. And sticking to your budget can be even tougher. These articles are full of tips to help you do both. Budgeting with a spouse can be difficult, which is why we've linked these helpful articles to our budgeting templates. These articles are designed for you and or your spouse to read in advance. And they recognize that money can be difficult to discuss, particularly with your spouse. And sticking to your budget can be even tougher. These articles are full of tips to help you do both. Our budgeting templates are monthly budgets. What I'm showing you is an example of a nearly complete monthly budget. Notice that the formulas are in place for you and your spouse to simply input your income and expenses, and the math is done for you. Let me give you an example. This is Bryce Strong and Christina Johnson. Bryce earns $1,955 a month in net pay. Christina, $2,950. When you look at their combined income and include their passive income, it automatically calculates at the bottom under monthly income. So let's say, as an example, that Christina receives a $1,000 bonus. Before she was making $2,950. Now she's making $3,950. And you'll notice that the monthly income changed by $1,000. Do not try entering numbers into these 3 protected cells. There are formulas in here that allow you or your spouse to input your expenses or your income above, and then these numbers will change according to what you've entered. You want your balance, your budget cell to be $0 because your end goal is to have a plan for every penny. If this number is red, that means you have expenses to trim away from your expense categories above. Now, if you were working through this with your spouse, you would have a conversation about what expenses that you should trim. You're discussing your goals, you're discussing your values. But for this example, I simply want to cut away $300 from sports and extracurricular activities, just so you can see for yourself how the budgeting cell changes. If this has an example, a number that is greater than 0, as it does here, you'll want to go back in and allocate these dollars. You don't have to spend them. You can insert them into savings, but you just want to make sure that there's a plan for every penny. Start the budgeting conversation with what you enjoy spending money on the most. Then move on to everything else. Reference your budget regularly, ideally every couple of weeks. Do so together at a scheduled time when you will be relaxed and uninterrupted. Life is not a spreadsheet. It's messy, which means money is messy. You're going to get off track from time to time. When you do, give each other grace, stay positive, and keep moving forward. Most importantly, remember that personal finance is more personal than finance, which means it's also personal to your spouse. So be empathetic during the budgeting process, or during any conversation about money for that matter. You each have your own relationship and history with money that can be complex. So the conversations at times could become emotional, even heated. And if it does, take a break. Give each other time to recollect yourselves before moving forward. Remember, you will value some things differently than your spouse, which means you will want to spend money differently. Take your time working through these compromises to find the budgeting process that works best for you.